Today we're talking about a massive, fundamental shift in how war is fought, and I'm not talking about bigger bombs or faster jets. I'm talking about a complete rewrite of the rulebook, where the winning weapon isn't a piece of steel, it's a better algorithm. So how do we get to this point, and where is it all headed? Let's dive in. So to really get our heads around this, let me start with a little bit of a puzzle for you. On one hand, you've got that old clunky Nokia phone you probably had back in the day. On the other, a cutting-edge billion-dollar warship. I mean, they seem like they're from different planets, right? But believe it or not, they share a single critical vulnerability. Any ideas what it could be? Well, here's the thing. They can both be made totally, completely useless, not by something bigger or more expensive, but by a fundamentally different idea. This is what experts call doctrinal attrition. Think about it like this. For centuries, the cavalry was the undisputed king of the battlefield. And then the machine gun showed up. Overnight, that entire way of fighting just evaporated. An outdated way of thinking can be the most dangerous weapon pointed at yourself. So where does this old thinking come from? Well, military strategy is usually a product of the generation that's in charge. And for decades, that meant the people whose entire military worldview was forged during the Cold War, a time of massive conventional armies just staring each other down across a border. And that mindset, it all boiled down to this one core belief: platform bias. The idea is actually pretty simple. Might comes from mass. You win wars with more tanks, with more advanced fighter jets, and with bigger, badder aircraft carriers. It's a philosophy built entirely on overwhelming physical force. And this, right here, perfectly illustrates what some are calling the Nokia iPhone paradox. Military planners got so focused on building a better Nokia, a tank with slightly thicker armor, a jet that's marginally faster, they were just perfecting what they already knew. The key thing they missed? They missed the iPhone, a totally disruptive, software-driven system like a swarm of cheap drones that didn't just play the game better, it changed the game entirely. And that brings us to the new game changers, because right now there's a huge wave of disruptive tech that's just crashing against this old doctrine, threatening to make all those billion-dollar platforms dangerously obsolete. And I mean, we're talking about technologies that sound like they're straight out of science fiction, but are becoming very, very real. Things like quantum radar, which uses some mind-bending physics to see things that were supposed to be invisible, or using blockchain to secure logistics, creating this unhackable digital ledger for supplies. And of course, the big one, the terrifyingly effective intelligence of AI-powered swarms that can make thousands of drones act like a single organism. So check this out. It's fascinating how one tiny breakthrough can just completely cancel out another. We've spent literally trillions of dollars perfecting stealth technology to make planes invisible to radar. But then quantum radar comes along. It uses a wild phenomenon called quantum entanglement. And the bottom line is, it threatens to make those invisible giants glow like Christmas trees on a totally new kind of screen. Or, hey, let's take the aircraft carrier. It's the ultimate symbol of concentrated power, right? It's one single, incredibly high-value target. Now, imagine pitting that against a swarm of thousands of cheap, autonomous, and totally expendable drones. Suddenly, it doesn't matter how advanced the carrier's defenses are. It's a math problem. They can be overwhelmed, saturated by an enemy that is basically everywhere and nowhere all at once. Now, at the very heart of this clash between the old and the new is a super important military concept called the OODA loop. Think of it as the cognitive rhythm of war, the pulse of decision-making. And right now, it's being torn down and rebuilt from the ground up. So for decades, the OODA loop has been the key to winning. You observe what's going on, you orient yourself to what it all means, you decide what to do about it, and then you act. Whoever can race through this cycle faster than their opponent, well, they get a massive advantage. It's all about outthinking and outpacing the enemy. But here's the absolute game changer. This loop, it isn't just for humans anymore. Technology isn't just making it faster, it's plugging itself into every single step, transforming it from a simple human cycle into this complex, hybrid human-machine cognitive architecture. So let's actually break that down. Let's see how this new system, we'll call it OODA-X, is re-engineering every single step of that decision-making process, turning the battlefield into a contest of algorithms. Okay, first up, observe. The classic way was what a soldier could see with their own eyes, plus some blips on a radar screen.
OODA-X, on the other hand, creates this constant hyper-aware ecosystem of data. You've got AI fusing intel from satellites, social media, whatever. You've got drone swarms doing recon. You've even got soldiers wearing augmented reality visors feeding real-time info back into the whole network. It's an absolute flood of information.
So now you have all this data. The next step, orient, changes even more. The old question was simple. What's happening right now? The new question is much bigger. What could happen? With all that data from the observe phase, AIs can now run millions of simulations on a digital twin of the battlefield, while quantum computers game out endless future possibilities.
Okay, so now you've got all these possible futures. You have to decide. Traditionally, a human commander, a person, makes that call. In OODA-X, an AI recommends the absolute best course of action in milliseconds. But, and this is so important, it's not full automation. The model is called human on the loop. The algorithms handle the speed, but a human being has to give the final green light for lethal actions. It's that critical layer of human judgment.
And finally, you act. A classic action is firing a missile, a single physical event. In OODA's action, it's more like a symphony. It's this integrated operation that happens all at once, across the physical battlefield, in cyberspace, and even in the cognitive domain of information warfare, all carried out by autonomous swarms whose communications are secured by things like quantum encryption.
So what does this all actually mean? What are we looking at here? Well, we've clearly moved way beyond a simple physical fight. This new way of war has created entirely new stakes and, as we're about to see, some entirely new and pretty terrifying dangers.
This slide just sums up the whole paradigm shift perfectly. The old goal was kinetic. You wanted to physically outmaneuver your enemy to break their decision-making loop. The new goal is cognitive. It's to achieve such complete data and algorithmic superiority that you can literally define your enemy's reality, feeding them exactly the information you want them to see.
And honestly, that is the most profound and, frankly, chilling takeaway from all of this. It's not just a war of machines anymore. It's becoming a war for perception, a war over cognition itself. The real battlefield is shifting from the physical world into the mind.
But here's the catch. This incredible new power, it's all balanced on a knife's edge. This whole OODA-X system has what you could call an algorithmic fragility. If your enemy can poison your data, or exploit a hidden bias in your AI, or just sabotage your code, the whole system doesn't just slow down, it collapses. It starts making catastrophic mistakes at machine speed.
Which leaves us with one last massive question to think about. When conflict accelerates to the speed of code, fought by competing algorithms in a war over reality itself, what does it really mean to put a human on the loop when that loop is moving faster than human thought itself?